Well, as if a total solar eclipse coinciding with Mercury retrograde wasn't enough for the drama factor to get raised to the ceiling, how about we toss something extra in the mix, right? And see how things turn up. I'm talking, of course, about a Mars Saturn conjunction taking place in Purva Bhadrapada. You see, there are two sides, at least two sides, to every story in life. And we find stories very intriguing. Sometimes we watch and we observe the characters that are involved, and we kind of just want to swoop in, like, a champion riding in on a white steed, coming to save the day. And the next thing you know, our horse trips up over a stone, knocks the person we're trying to help over, and we end up doing more harm to the situation than we really end up doing well. And at the same time that we're rushing in to save the day, there's a part of our own life that's falling apart over on the side, and we just completely forgot about that because we were getting swept up in the moment. You see, what ends up happening when Mars and Saturn conjunct each other is you have a situation where Mars starves Saturn. And you also have a situation where Saturn starves Mars. Now, they're only going to be feeling a little bit of this. And I say that because what can seemingly be a little bit when we're dealing with something like that can actually feel quite large, right? But what it feels like is you want to do good in a particular situation. But you can also see that kind of coming in and helping the other person who's involved in this is making it so that your own life is completely falling apart. There are things that are important. And no, you're not being selfish. These things are actually important. They're vital, as a matter of fact. They're things that you need to do, your strength of will, that if you like put that strength of will in terms of sorting out your own survival related issues to the side, well, and you're going in to save another situation, your own thing falls apart. And let's just talk about it this way. When you're on an airplane, I don't know if they still do this, but they speak about if, there's a loss in cabin pressure, and the masks drop down, to put a mask over yourself first before you help the other people who are next to you. They do that for a reason, because when our own strength is compromised, it's not as easy to be of help to another situation, right? And when you're going into another situation and you're finding that your desire to help really on a certain level is just making matters worse, well, then you have to question whether this is really your battle, whether this is really your circus or your monkeys, whether it's something ultimately you should be involved in, or whether it's something you should just turn the other way. You don't necessarily have to ignore. You can offer input, you can offer insight, you can try to help. And on that level, if you could use a little bit of help with these celestial energies that are at play, we're going through a really transformational period right now. And for the next several days, I'm offering a 6 consultation package. You get 6 1-hour consultations plus 1 year of my courses community, all for a total of $333. But these packages won't last. So if you want one, you're going to need to go to the link above if you're watching this on YouTube. And if you're watching this elsewhere, it'll be down in the video below. But, sometimes if you let your own devotion get in the way of what you now need to do in your own life to be able to hold it together, it's only going to go sour. right? And then you may find that that person that you want to help kind of wishes that you would just go away, right? And that's hard to deal with. It's hard to deal with when you're wanting to help and the other person's going, "Hey, I just want you to go away." But you need to look at this situation from both sides of the story, right? Purva Bhadrapada is symbolized by a two-faced person. No, not a politician, but a politician kind of fits with that, right? Sometimes, in some occasions, right? But there are also two sides to a situation. Like you may be logistically wanting to help, sentimentally wanting to help, truly wanting to help, really devoted to a cause, but in the back of your mind, you know you can't help. You're not sure if you helping is really going to help or if it's just going to make matters worse. And so what ends up happening, you just ignore that little voice in your head that says, maybe this isn't the direction to go in. Maybe this isn't your thing to help. Maybe this isn't your circus. Maybe this isn't your monkey. It's like I was saying before. Maybe these aren't your monkeys, but we don't care about grammar when we're talking about astrology. Okay. So, what are you going to do, right? You can get involved. You can go into it with your fullness of passion. You can hit that resistance because you know what? Here's you. Here's that brick wall. During situations like this, boom, you're going to hit that brick wall most likely until your head hurts. Okay. Now, like I was saying, it doesn't mean you can't help, but you may have to help with this situation from a distance. And when you keep going into something so hard and so forcefully, it's only going to exhaust you. You see, Mars's responsibility is to give you the strength to fight off problems when your resistance is wearing low. And Saturn's function is to be that line of resistance when you can no longer fight. Those two planets are meant to work in harmony, but when they're working against each other, very quickly, your defenses can come down. Very soon, you can be vulnerable. Very soon, that person that you're wanting to help may equally become vulnerable. So, what's the best thing to do with this type of energy? Don't push things to the bitter end. Do try to see both sides of the situation. Do try to help in the manner that you can, but not to the extent that your whole world falls apart so that you can go into this, because you're not going to be of help to the situation if you're falling apart, right? There's no way you're going to be able to do that. And you really need to accept that and you really need to understand that. Another way to deal with this is, if you keep pushing the situation that you're dealing with at the present moment to the bitter end, you may find yourself involved in a little bit of turmoil, perhaps even a little bit of conflict with that very person that you're trying to help. So rather than take up a defensive stance in a situation and potentially become offensive, and I don't mean taking an offensive stance, I mean becoming offensive, it might be wise at this particular moment in time, rather than feeling like you have to blow your horn and coming in, riding in on a white steed to save the situation, to beat a retreat so that you can gather your resources and so that you can see things with a fresh sense of perspective from a higher plateau. And if you could use a little bit of help with that, as I mentioned, I am offering something for eclipse season, which is 6 1-hour consultations and 1 year of my courses community, all for a total of $333. That's on limited number of packages. It's not like, going to be open for long. So if you want one of these, you do need to act soon. And you can find a link to take advantage of this offer up above if you're watching this on YouTube, and down in the lower section if you're watching this anywhere else. And thanks a lot for watching this video on the Mars Saturn conjunction. This next bit is for the astrology geeks, okay? Because I know everybody's going to comment and say, well, Mars and Saturn are conjuncting each other for a longer period of time. And yes, they're right. So this particular period of time that I'm giving is when this conjunction is going to be at its peak. okay, which is between the 8th and the 13th of April, 2024, right? Watch those dates, pay attention to it, this side of the eclipse and the other side of the eclipse. Remember, don't get involved in situations where you're weakening yourself in order to help a situation, which isn't going to let you help a situation and is just going to cause something to not go in a positive direction. The idea is to instead, if necessary, beat a retreat, gather your strength, gather resources so that you can do things correctly. Thanks a lot for watching this video. Please take it lightly during the eclipse, and I will talk to you the next time. Bye now.